Hey everyone, today we are going to be talking about the history of tea. I've got 4 different types of tea here with me today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the particular tea that I've got with me. You might remember that I had a video on my channel that was about tea about 3 years ago, when I was more active on my channel. But I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I wasn't quite happy with the quality of that video. And so I'm making it again today for you. Okay, so first of all, we are going to talk about the history of tea and where it originated from. It's a long and complex history that spans many, many centuries and many, many cultures over thousands of years. Due to evidence found, it's believed that tea originated in China's Yunnan region during the Shang dynasty. Evidence to this comes from a record of tea drinking dated from the 3rd century AD in a medical text by Hua Tao, also known as Huan Hua. He was a Chinese physician, and he was the first recorded person ever recorded to use anesthetic. And in these cases, tea was originally medicinal and mixed with other herbs to heal the sick and treat ailments and injuries. medicine eventually spread to Sichuan, and people began to boil without other herbs. So they would boil the tea without these other herbs that made it medicinal. And they began to drink it more for pleasure than for any other kind of medicinal purpose. An interesting fact still today about Fengqing County in Yunnan is that it houses the world's oldest cultivated tea tree. And this tea tree is over 3,200 years old and is still cultivated today. So, moving on to how tea became a lot more widespread in the world. In the 16th century, it was introduced to Portuguese priests and Lebanese merchants. And then a century later, it managed to find its way to Britain, and it was imported it was smuggled via Amsterdam and other eastern sailing ships into England. England or Britain eventually brought tea production over to India, and they did that to compete with the monopoly that China had and at that point still had on tea production. Tea itself was first recorded in 1615, and it was recorded being asked for as chaw, C-H-A-W. In 1637, it was referenced again as cha, C-H-A-A. In 1657, Thomas Garway was the first person to sell tea in London. And he charged up to 50 shillings per pound for tea. This, not this exact package, obviously, but this kind of thing, which is in today's money, adjusted for inflation, around about 300 to 400 pounds per pound of tea. This isn't a pound of tea, but still, that's a lot of money for a lot of, well, it would have lasted you quite a while, but compared to today's prices, that is very expensive. Now, I said that it was originally smuggled from Amsterdam and other eastern seafaring ships. In the year 1664, it began being officially imported into the country when King Charles II married Catherine of Braganza. And by the year 1801, England was importing roughly 24 million pounds of tea every year, which is a lot. It's a lot of tea. Now that we've spoken about the history of where tea came from, we are going to talk about a well-known but almost misunderstood by other countries event in British tea culture called afternoon tea. Anna Russell was the Duchess of Bedford, and she brought tea into a formal social occasion in 1830. The reason that she brought this event into her household was because with the social events and like kind of things that would go on in a household, dinner was getting a lot later in the day than it would have been prior. And Anna Russell found herself getting very peckish in between her meals. And so she began to invite her friends over for a formal social gathering where they would have tea and light refreshments, cucumber sandwiches, cakes, scones, and similar hand pastries. It caught on very, very quickly among the ladies of the upper social classes, and tea rooms began to spring up all over London and following that, the rest of the country. And they were treated almost as the epicenter of gossip. And it was a meeting point for women where they gossiped and spoke about everything and anything in their daily lives. It was almost accredited to being similar to social media or social networking, where people gathered and spoke and got to know one another, met people, shared parts about their lives, gossiped about secrets and intrigue in society and other topics. Today, however, contrary to the outside world other than England and the UK's belief, afternoon tea nowadays is much more of a novelty than it was in the 1800s and going forward. Nowadays we have places like Fortnum and Mason and Harrods, which is an incredibly well-known department store in London. It's often a place that tourists will go to when they visit London to get the quintessential British experience. But afternoon tea, generally, in the form that it took then, at least, has all but pretty much fell out of daily life. And afternoon tea, like I said, is more of a tourist attraction, so to say, or more reserved today for events such as taking your mum out for afternoon tea at Harrods, or a nice establishment that does afternoon tea for her birthday. Similar things like that, maybe for a bridal shower and other events such as that. Now, we're going to talk about Fortnum and Mason, which was established in 1707, and they were quickly established as high quality, consistently since 1707, and today is a very high end brand in the UK that offers afternoon tea services, as I said, as well as high quality tea such as this Royal Blend. The Royal Blend is a very classic, well-loved blend from the brand. It's got a flowery scent to it, which comes from the pekoe from Ceylon, and that lends an uplifting note and flavour from the maltiness of Assam. It was first blended for King Edward in the summer of 1902. It's been said to have a honey-like taste and is incredibly smooth to drink. This, as you can tell, is a loose leaf tea. Next, we have Yorkshire tea. Yorkshire tea is more of an everyday tea. It comes in a bleached tea bag, like so. And it's the second most popular tea in the UK. It was founded in 1886 by Charles Edward Taylor, and in 2009 received a royal warrant, which recognises service of trade and so on to the country and to the royal family. There are different varieties of Yorkshire tea, depending on what you prefer. We have the red top Yorkshire tea that you see here with the red stripe. There is also a Yorkshire Gold, which is, I believe, a little bit stronger than the red. Also quite popular. And then there is also a Yorkshire tea for hard water areas. So if your area has a lot of hard water, you can buy a variant of Yorkshire tea that is specifically created and blended to accompany the hard water of the area that you live in. Next up, we have pucker, 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 pucker. And this variety here is one of my favourites, which is why I'm showing it off to you today. Pucker is a fair trade, organic, fair wild for the planet, those kind of companies association, and so I like to drink them for that particular reason. I don't drink tea very much anymore. I drink a lot more coffee, but when I do fancy a cup of tea, this and this is usually what I go for. So the 3 cinnamon pucker tea is a sweet embrace of organic Indian, Indonesian and Vietnamese cinnamon. Cinnamon is nature's sun trap. Bask in the spicy, sweet heat of the world's finest 3 cinnamons and feel her warmth embrace, filling you with life. Enjoy the warmth. I really enjoy the packaging as well, which I think is gorgeous. Then you can probably tell that I love cinnamon. This is apple, wild apple and cinnamon with ginger. A sunlit orchard of organic warmth and sweet spice. Dance in the wind orchard. The dappled shade of a wild orchard with cinnamon branches swirling overhead. As ginger and spicy clove fill the air, chamomile flowers and sweet orange cushion your step. Slowly, with every sip, the apples tumble softly to the ground. Let your cares go. As you can tell, the descriptions are very fitting for an ASMR video. The dappled shade of a wild orchard. It's also caffeine free And as I said, all of their ingredients are ethically sourced. So it's a really good brand for that. I hope you enjoyed today's tea video. I hope that you are relaxed, soothed, calm, and maybe even asleep. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I will see you all very, very, very soon.